you said the biggest financial burden of a couple is raising their children. Now, I beg to disagree here, very respectfully, because I feel like if there is enough support from the society, the government, the social infrastructure, we can have a higher fertility rate and more women in the labor force. The reason why urban Indian women or urban couples are not having children is because the cost of living is just so high. There is a scarcity of jobs. Inflation is eating into your earnings. How private schools are so expensive.
But
How will you? No, I'm saying it's you may want to call it a financial burden,
Yeah.
but if there is support from different ends, look at the middle income. They are taxed.
Sonia, it's also psychological. There's no dearth of support in the Western Hemisphere, but their fertility rates have crashed. Because the fact is, when people become prosperous, they don't want to be burdened by kids. You see, if you go back to ancient human history, there were two reasons why kids used to be produced at scale. One was there was no certainty about survival. So infant mortality, which is kids who died before turning 5, was very high. The second is that you needed hands. Hands to hunt, hands to farm, hands to go to the factory. Now, once you become rich, then neither of these factors actually come to hurt you. Infant mortality is irrelevant because you have already taken care of very high quality healthcare, and therefore you are not victim of that. And second is that you don't need hands. So prosperous people, by definition, have low fertility rate, and that
is when they don't want to have children by choice. Ridham.
Yeah. So
you have to understand that
so
in
this
the
is
middle
a choice
income,
only.
No, but in the middle income category, there are many people who want to have children, but they don't have the privilege to have children because of how high the cost of living is.
True.
Let's be honest.
No, that's not true, because when you do the geographical spread of India's fertility rate, the fertility rate is significantly higher in poorer states and significantly lower in richer states in India.
And what about the middle income?
No, they are also somewhat better than the poorer states. Okay, so when you break this by income cohort also, if income is on this axis, fertility rate is like this. So it is a little higher in the middle income. So it is not like it has declined here and then it's gone up and it's like this. The chart curve is not like this. The curve remains like this. So the fact is that all these arguments are valid. And now people say that, poor people are producing the kids. That's bad. No, that is exactly what is required. Because aspirations are only amongst poor people. Rich people are not aspirational. Very few rich people have, this was, I think Uday Bhai had tweeted about this, that rich people are going into family offices and not going to factory. Obviously they won't. I mean, which rich kid wants to sweat it out in a factory? Father ne kaam kar liya abhi, now I will sit at home in an air-conditioned office. By the way, this is also good for the country, because growing up here, the biggest constraint to entrepreneurs, to budding entrepreneurs, people with innovative ideas, was access to capital. Today, that's not a problem, because there are scores of family offices that are willing to bet that your idea will work, I'll give you money. And that's going to happen now. So India will see ideas work at scale. Another criticism that is widespread in the social media is India's low R&D spending. But that's not a problem. It is bound to be low because India is poor. R&D spending doesn't scale linearly. It scales exponentially. So comparing India with China is just not justified, because China's income is 5x of India. When India gets to Chinese levels, its R&D spending will also be 5x of where it is today. As a percentage of GDP, not in absolute terms. It scales non-linearly.
So I had the same question.
Poor people cannot take the risk of, working on projects with unknown outcomes. But family offices are allowing that to happen. Sonia, I spend a lot of time meeting startups. And the number of startups in this country working on just completely there's a guy, I've not yet met him, but I just learned about it, who's using snake venom to create new chemical entities. Because apparently snake venom has got the most complex protein structure across all natural ingredients on the planet. And you can actually discover new drugs. Like, who could do this 20 years ago in this country? We have companies that are set up to send satellites, and we have companies that are working on quantum. We have got companies that are working on more than just, the normal consumer facing tech. There's a lot of deep tech happening in India, which wasn't the case 10 years ago. How did it suddenly happen? Because there are tons of family offices. So anyway, the thing is that this fertility rate debate is clearly there in my head, and I know that there is a downside risk, but I'm choosing to be optimistic because I think the next 20 years, India will get to that prosperity, which will then make this debate irrelevant. But by the way, the market is not fully convinced. And the reason why the market is not fully convinced is because India's growth was quite slow for almost a year and a half. And the market can have a lot of short-term attributes in its behavior. It can get very short-term, and therefore thinks that, okay, this is how India will be in the next 10 years. But I think it will inflect. And there were reasons why India's growth slowed down. And I think we have reversed those factors.